Please forgive him. Stop this.
Wren's heel snaps on the marble just as Silas's voice cuts through the music. There you are. She stumbles, catches herself on a stranger's shoulder, and smells cold rain and pine instead of Silas's choking cologne. Her pulse spikes. The chandelier light flashes off polished shoes, off the silver ring on Silas's hand she knows too well. He is getting closer. She can hear the slow, heavy steps, like he has all the time in the world to drag her back. The man she grabbed turns. Steel blue eyes lock on her face, sharp and calm at the same time. For one breath, the noise of the ballroom fades. Wren feels his attention land on her like weight, like focus. He glances past her, sees Silas pushing through the cluster of alphas and their partners, sees the way Wren's fingers clutch his jacket like a lifeline. Please, she says, barely moving her lips. Just go with it. She stretches up and kisses him. It's supposed to be fast. A show. Just long enough for Silas to see, to choke on the public insult, to stop him in his tracks while she thinks of something else. But the second her mouth touches his, heat slams through her nerve endings like a live wire. His hand comes up without hesitation, sliding to the back of her neck, holding her in place like he has claimed her 1,000 times before. The room spins, and for one terrifying, thrilling beat, Wren forgets Silas exists. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. A soft sound leaves her, shocked out of her as that invisible force snaps into place between them. Something wild and ancient and wrong and right all at once. His fingers press against her skin. The air shifts. People stop talking. Glass stops clinking. Somewhere a waiter freezes with a tray half tilted. It's like the whole ballroom inhales and forgets how to exhale. Then the stranger pulls back just enough to look at her. Up close, his eyes are darker, stormy instead of clear, like clouds have rolled in fast. His jaw flexes. He studies her like she is a question he did not plan to answer tonight. Wren can't drag in enough air. Her wolf pushes against her skin, clawing at her ribs, whispering one word that makes no sense. Mate. Silas sees them. His face goes from smug to murder in a heartbeat. Color drains, then floods back in a harsh red. He closes the last few feet between them, hand already reaching, fingers curving like claws. People step out of the way, fast. Nobody wants to be between Silas Blackwood and what he thinks belongs to him. Get your hands off my fiancé, he snarls. The stranger doesn't move his hand from Wren's neck. If anything, his thumb slides slightly, a tiny shift that keeps her behind the line of his shoulder. Wren feels it protection, clean and simple, like a wall slamming down in front of her. He turns his head just enough to look at Silas, and there is nothing polite in his gaze now. Your fiancé? His voice is smooth, low, carrying easily over the sudden hush. She doesn't look like she agrees. Silas laughs once, a sharp, ugly sound. You have no idea who you're talking to, man. Step away, or what? The stranger asks. A few elders flinch. Someone's glass trembles in their hand. The band has stopped playing, but one last note from the piano hangs in the air, fading slow. Wren's heart beats so loud she can hear it in her ears. She knows what Silas does when someone embarrasses him in public. She still feels last week on her skin. Silas lunges for her arm. The stranger moves faster than her eyes can track. 1 second Silas is reaching. The next his back hits the polished floor with a crack that echoes, and a polished black shoe presses lightly against his throat. Not enough to crush, enough to remind him how easy it would be. Gasps ripple through the crowd. A few people drop their gaze to the floor, necks bare in automatic respect. They have not been asked for yet. Wren stands frozen, caught between terror and something else that scares her more. Relief. Try that again, the stranger says quietly. See what happens. Silas glares up at him, fighting for breath, pride and rage warring in his eyes. You're done, he spits. When this is over, I'm going to make sure. Careful. The stranger eases a fraction more pressure onto his throat, and Silas chokes. Think about your next sentence. All around them, the power in the room tilts, like gravity has picked a new center. Alphas, who never bow to anyone, are suddenly very interested in the pattern on the floor. Someone near the front takes a half step back, shoulders lowering. Shoulders angled in the posture of deference every wolf body remembers, even if their mind says stand tall. Then an older woman in a deep green gown pushes through the circle, diamonds flashing at her ears. She doesn't look at Wren. She drops her gaze to the man with his foot on Silas's throat. Her hands shake as she lifts them, palms out. "Your Majesty," she says, voice breaking. "Please." The word hits Wren harder than the music ever could. "Your Majesty." The mate she just kissed is the one wolf no one in this room can afford to offend. And as he slowly lifts his foot from Silas's neck and turns that stormy gaze fully on her, Wren realizes she has just given her first kiss of the night to the Alpha King himself. And as he slowly lifts his foot from Silas's neck and turns that stormy gaze fully on her, Wren realizes she has just given her first kiss of the night to the Alpha King himself. The first thing Wren notices when the Alpha King steps closer is how everyone else steps back. They don't seem to choose it. Their bodies just react, like their bones remember something old. Space opens around him in a clean circle, and somehow that makes Wren feel even more trapped. He stops in front of her, close enough that she has to tilt her chin to meet his eyes. Up close, his presence presses against her skin, not like Silas's grabbing hands, but like standing too near the edge of a cliff. Her wolf is silent now, watching, waiting. "What's your name?" he asks. His voice is softer than before, but it carries. People are listening. She can feel their attention on the back of her neck. Wren swallows. "Wren Ashford." A low murmur moves through the room at her family name. She hears it, Ashford. The doubt, the curiosity, the pity. Her father must hear it too, because he rushes forward, his tie askew, sweat glistening at his hairline. He bows low toward the Alpha King, hands shaking. "Your Majesty," her father says, "there has been a misunderstanding. My daughter, your daughter," the king says, eyes still on Wren, "just chose to kiss me in front of every alpha on this coast. That is not a misunderstanding. That is a statement." Heat crawls up Wren's neck. She wants to deny it, to say it was panic, not a choice. But the mate bond hums under her skin, that invisible thread tugging between her and this man. Even if she lied, her wolf would know. He probably would too. Silas staggers to his feet behind them, rubbing his throat, fury twisting his face. "She is bound to me by contract," he rasps. "Her choice doesn't matter. We have a deal. Signed. Sealed." The king finally looks at him. The room tightens. "Signed in what?" he asks. "Blood or ink?" Silas hesitates. Everyone sees it. "Blood," Wren's father answers in a thin voice, eyes on the floor. "There was a debt." The king's jaw flexes. "And you sold your daughter to clear it." Her father flinches like he's been slapped. I did what I had to do, Your Majesty. For the family. The Ashfords. The Ashfords will survive," the king says. "If I decide, they will." He turns his head slightly, and Wren catches a glimpse of the guards near the doors, men in dark suits with comms in their ears, who somehow look more dangerous in silence than Silas does in a rage. They are waiting for one signal. "Your Majesty," Silas says, forcing a strained smile. "We are all on the same side here. Let's not overreact. She's just a girl who made a scene. I'll handle it in private." He reaches out, like he might grab her arm again. "Come on, Wren." The king steps between them so smoothly it seems like he was always meant to fill that space. His shoulders block Silas's reach. His scent, pine, cold air, something dark and clean fills Wren's lungs and pushes Silas's sharp cologne away. "You will not touch her again," the king says. Silas laughs, but there is a crack in it now. "With respect, Your Majesty, you can't just claim another man's fiancé because she kissed you. That's not how this works." The king's eyes stay steady on his. "You are right." He pauses, gaze growing even colder. "It works like this. I say something. Everyone else adjusts." A shiver runs through the room. The woman in green bows her head lower. A few alphas who had been watching with hungry interest now look away, like they don't want his gaze to catch them next. Wren's stomach flips. "Effective now," the king says. "The Ashford debt is settled. The contract is void. Any attempt to enforce it will be treated as an attack on someone under my protection." Silas's smile dies. "You can't just erase a blood deal. The Blackwoods are standing on my land," the king says quietly, "under my roof, saying no in front of my face." "Do you really want to finish that sentence?" Silas's father, broad-shouldered in a dark suit, appears at his son's side and clamps a hand on his shoulder, fingers digging in. Silas, he says under his breath. Then louder, to the king. Your Majesty, of course we honor your word. My son is passionate. We'll step back and discuss things later. There is nothing to discuss, the king replies. You had your chance. You chose badly. Wren's knees feel weak. Part of her wants to sag with relief. Another part wants to run for the door and never stop. Instead, she stands there while her entire life is rearranged with a few short sentences. The king turns back to her. Up close, his gaze softens by a fraction, enough to make her chest ache. You kissed a stranger to escape a man you didn't choose, he says. Now every wolf in this room is watching to see what you do next. Wren's fingers curl into her skirt. What if I don't want anyone to own me? Something flashes in his eyes. Respect. Interest. Maybe a hint of pain. Then we'll have to figure out what it means, he says. For a king to stand beside you instead. Before she can answer, a guard leans in to murmur in his ear. The king's expression hardens for a second, shadows crossing his features. He nods once, then extends his hand to Wren. Walk with me, he says. If she takes that hand, she steps into his world in front of everyone. If she refuses, she challenges the man who just broke a blood contract for her. Every gaze burns on her skin like heat. Wren stares at his open palm, then at Silas's gray eyes, now full of something sharp and ugly that promises this is not over. Her wolf presses forward, pushing 3 quiet words into her mind. Choose. Right. Now. She reaches out. The moment her fingers touch his, that humming thread between them pulls tight, sure and strong, as the doors to the terrace swing open on their own. And none of them see. In the far corner of the ballroom, the Blackwood lieutenant lifts his phone, already sending the first message that will turn this one kiss into a war. Cold night air slams into Wren's lungs as soon as they step onto the terrace. She doesn't realize how loud the ballroom was until the glass doors close behind them and the music turns into a dull throb. Out here, the sky is wide open, scattered with stars, and the estate gardens stretch out in careful lines of shadow and light. The king doesn't let go of her hand right away. His grip is steady, warming her fingers. Only when they are a few steps away from the doors, under the glow of a hanging lantern, does he finally release her and turn to face her fully. Are you hurt? He asks. Wren blinks. The question yanks her back into her body. She looks down at her wrist out of habit, fingers tugging the pearl bracelet just enough to make the skin under it sting. I'm fine. His gaze follows her movement. He reaches out, then stops himself, hand hovering in the space between them. May I? Her first instinct is to pull back. Men asking to touch her is not something she's used to. Men just touch. But something in his eyes, steady, waiting, not pushing, makes her give a small nod. He steps closer and gently slides the bracelet up. The dark bruise wrapped around her wrist is ugly in the lantern light. The faint fingerprint shapes clear even against her brown skin. His jaw tightens. Silas, he says, low. It is not a question. It was nothing, Wren lies. We argued. He got mad. It won't happen again. No, the king agrees. It won't. He lowers her bracelet back into place like he is covering something precious instead of hiding proof of someone else's violence. His fingers brush her skin for a second longer than they have to, and the bond between them flares, hot and wild. Wren's breath catches. She takes a step back, needing space, needing to think. What is your name? She asks, suddenly aware she has kissed him, claimed his protection, and still only knows him as a title whispered in fear. His mouth curves, but the smile doesn't quite reach his eyes. Adrian, he says. Adrian King. The name fits him. Simple, heavy. Wren tastes it in her mind next to the word her wolf keeps whispering mate and almost laughs at the madness of it. You know what that was in there, he says quietly. When you kissed me. She wraps her arms around herself. The night air eats at the heat on her skin, but not fast enough. I know what it felt like, she answers. But I also know I didn't ask for it. Any of it. His gaze doesn't waver. Neither did I. For a moment, there is nothing between them but shared honesty and the sound of water from a distant fountain. Then his shoulders square again, the weight of who he is settling back into place. The second that bond snapped, Adrian says, you stopped being just an Ashford daughter with a bad deal and became a target with my mark on her. Some will see that as protection. Others will see it as leverage. So I traded one danger for another, Wren says. Great. Some dangers are worth the risk, he replies. Silas was never going to stop. A man like that doesn't understand no unless someone stronger teaches it to him. He glances quickly back at the ballroom through the glass. Wren follows his gaze and sees shapes moving inside, the party trying to wobble back toward normal. But the energy is off now. People cling to the edges, eyes darting often toward the doors. Right now, Adrian says, there are at least 3 packs in that room already calculating how to use what they just saw. Your best friend is probably arguing with herself about whether she should burst out here and drag you away. And Silas is planning his next move. How do you know I even have a best friend? A shadow of that almost smile touches his mouth. Every woman who looks at a man like Silas the way you just did has at least one friend telling her he's wrong for her. Whether she listens is another story. Wren almost smiles back, then stops herself. So what now? She asks. You sweep in, say a few powerful words, cancel my blood contract. And then what? Put me in a tower somewhere and lock the door? His eyes meet hers, dead serious. If I wanted to lock you away, I wouldn't be standing here asking what you want. The doors behind them swing open for a moment as someone steps out to smoke farther down the terrace. The brief rush of music and chatter, followed by quiet again, makes the night feel even more fragile. Adrian shifts his body slightly, positioning himself so he is between Wren and any line of sight from inside. It is such a small thing, but it lands heavy in her chest. You have a choice, he says. Stay here tonight under my protection. Come to my estate tomorrow so we can figure out what this bond means with time and without an audience. Or walk away now and pretend this never happened. Wren laughs once, bitter. Can I really pretend when half the summit just watched the Alpha King put his foot on my ex-fiancé's throat? His gaze softens again. No, he admits. You can't. But you can decide whether you stand next to me while we deal with the fallout, or try to face it alone. In the darkness beyond the garden wall, a branch cracks. It's small, a tiny sound, but both of them hear it. Adrian's head snaps toward the noise, his whole body going alert in a way that makes Wren's wolf sit up inside her. They are not as alone out here as they thought. Adrian is already moving before Wren can speak. One hand lifts in a sharp gesture, and from the shadows near the terrace steps, 2 men in dark suits detach from the stone like they were never part of it. Wren hadn't even realized they were there. Perimeter? Adrian asks, still watching the dark line of trees beyond the manicured lawn. Clear inside the walls, one of the guards says. Outside is too noisy to read clean, but there's movement along the south fence. Could be staff. Could be Blackwood men testing the boundary. Silas wouldn't be that stupid, the other mutters. Wren thinks of Silas's face on the floor, red with rage and shame in front of everyone who ever flattered him. You don't know him, she says quietly. He might. Adrian glances at her, then nods once to the guards. Lock down the exits, quietly. No one in or out without my say. And put eyes on every Blackwood in the building. If they so much as breathe wrong, I want to know. The guards move without question, one disappearing back inside, the other heading down the steps toward the garden path with his phone already at his ear. Wren wraps her arms tighter around herself. This is because of me. This is because of Silas, Adrian says. You didn't put his hands on your wrist. You didn't make him threaten you in public. He chose that. And now I choose this. Adrian turns his back deliberately to the garden and faces her, making her the center of his focus again. It's a strange kind of safety, sharp around the edges. How many people do you trust? He asks. The question is so unexpected she has to think. Including you? She tosses back, because the fear chewing at her ribs is easier to handle when she wraps it in attitude. He doesn't flinch. You don't know me well enough to trust me yet, he says easily. I'm asking about your world, your circle. Who could you call right now who would come, no matter the time? Images flash in Wren's mind, her mother's tired eyes looking away at dinner. Her father bent over spreadsheets, muttering about deals and interest and how they'll fix it next month. Then a different face. Tiana, with her bright braids and louder laugh. The only one who told Wren to run every time Silas's name came up. 1, Wren says. Maybe 2, if you count my little cousin. But she's 13 and lives out of state. Good, Adrian says. Fewer weak points. She stares at him. That's a depressing way to look at friendships. It's the way a king has to look at everything, he replies. Every person close to you is a door someone like Silas might try to walk through. You deserve to decide who stands that close. The doors open again. This time, the person who steps out is familiar. Tiana stops dead when she sees Adrian, eyes going wide. Then she turns to Wren, brows shooting up so high they almost vanish into her braids. Girl, Tiana says slowly, do you know who you're standing next to? Yes, Wren says, throat dry. That's kind of the problem. Adrian's mouth twitches, the closest thing to real amusement she's seen on his face. You must be Tiana. Tiana straightens. And you must be the reason my best friend's ex looks like he swallowed a live grenade. She shifts her weight, putting herself slightly closer to Wren without making it obvious. I appreciate that. I also appreciate that everyone keeps saying Your Majesty around you, which is making my palms sweat, so, no offense if I don't bow. My knees are shaky. I'm not asking you to bow, Adrian says. I'm asking you to help Wren make a choice. Tiana's attention snaps back to Wren, all joking gone. What choice? He wants me to go with him, Wren says. The words sound strange in the air. To his estate, be under his protection, Tiana stares. As in, the Alpha King's house? With all the guards and the security and the fancy everything? And the people who want to kill him probably stopping by sometimes? Basically, Wren says. Tiana blows out a breath. Okay. On one hand, safe from Silas. On the other hand, you'd be living in the center of the biggest storm in our world. And you... She looks between them, eyes narrowing. There's a bond, isn't there? Wren looks away. Adrian doesn't. Yes, he says simply. Tiana presses her lips together. Then you know this doesn't end with you just dropping her off at some safe house and sending a fruit basket. I am very aware, Adrian answers. Wren feels like the stone under her feet is tilting. The garden, the party, even Tiana's familiar voice all seem farther away, like she's on the edge of something and there's no way to go back to flat ground. Tiana steps closer and takes Wren's hand. Question is, she says softly, do you want to figure this out with him where he can actually protect you? Or do you want to go home and wait for Silas to catch you alone? Wren thinks of her parents' house, the thin walls, the broken lock on the back door that never got fixed because they had more important bills. She thinks of Silas's car idling at the curb, the way his shadow used to fall over their front porch like he owned it. Then she looks at Adrian, at the guards, at the estate that hums with power, every light and camera and gate a promise and a warning. Her choice feels less like a path and more like a jump. Fine, she says, voice barely above a whisper. I'll go. Tiana squeezes her fingers. Then I'm coming too. Adrian's eyes narrow, considering. That complicates security. Then uncomplicate it, Tiana snaps. She's not walking into your world alone. For the first time, something like real heat flashes in Adrian's eyes that is not aimed at an enemy. He studies Tiana for a long beat, then nods. Pack for 3 days, he says. My driver will pick you both up in the morning. And Silas? Wren asks. Adrian looks back toward the dark line of trees, where something just moved a little too deliberately to be the wind. Silas, he says, won't make it that easy. The black SUV idles at the curb outside Wren's building before sunrise. Windows tinted so dark they swallow the streetlights. She stands on the cracked sidewalk with a small duffel bag at her feet. Tiana at her side with a backpack and way too much nervous energy. I feel like we're about to get recruited into a secret agency, Tiana mutters. If a man in sunglasses calls me Agent T, I'm walking back upstairs. The back door opens before Wren can answer. Adrian steps out, dressed in a dark coat over a black shirt, looking like he hasn't slept and doesn't need to. The neighborhood looks smaller around him. The peeling paint and crooked mailboxes suddenly obvious after a lifetime of pretending not to see them. Morning, he says. It's such a normal word that Wren's throat tightens. You didn't have to come yourself, she says. You're busy. Someone set off a motion sensor outside your building at 3:30, Adrian says. I'm not sending anyone I care about into a car. I haven't checked myself after that. The word catches her. Care. He says it so calmly, like it's just a fact, but something in her chest jerks. Tiana arches a brow. Do we get to know who was creeping around? Or is that on a need-to-know basis? Adrian glances at one of the men in the front seat. License plate was registered to a shell company tied to Blackwood Holdings, the man says. They circled the block twice, slowed in front of the building, then left when patrol turned the corner. Wren's stomach drops. She pictures Silas in the back of that car, watching her windows, making plans. Okay, Tiana says, clapping her hands once. Cool. Love that for us. Let's get in the King car now. Adrian opens the back door and waits. For a second, Wren hesitates on the curb, looking back at the building she has called home. The chipped steps, the dead plant in the window she always meant to replace, the mailbox, with Ashford, written in fading marker. Last chance to change your mind, Adrian says quietly. She shakes her head. If I stay, he'll keep coming. If you come, Adrian says, holding her gaze, they will come for you where I live instead. You won't be invisible there. You'll be the crack they look for in my armor. Wren swallows. Then we better make sure I'm not a crack, she says. We better make sure I'm steel. Something like pride flickers in his eyes. Get in, he says. She slides into the SUV. It smells like leather and cedar, clean and expensive, the opposite of the stale hallway air upstairs. Tiana climbs in after her, already pulling out her phone. I'm dropping a pin to my cousin, Tiana says. If I vanish, she's posting it on every forum in the community. No offense, Your Majesty, but I've seen too many movies. Adrian almost smiles. None taken. The car pulls away from the curb. As they move through the quiet streets, the city Wren knows falls away in layers, corner stores and bus stops giving way to broader roads and eventually to a private highway that seems to appear out of nowhere, lined with tall trees and discreet cameras. Is this all yours? Tiana asks, staring out the window. Mine and my ancestors, Adrian says. I just signed the latest papers. Wren watches him instead of the trees. The way he sits, balanced and ready, even in the back of a car. The way his hand rests on his knee, still, but with that same sense of held power she felt under her fingers on the terrace. So, Tiana says slowly, when we get to your place, what happens? Are there rules? Curfews? Don't touch the royal silverware, or you die, kind of situations? There are security protocols, Adrian says. You'll both be briefed. You'll have your own rooms. You'll eat meals where you choose, as long as you tell my staff where you are. And you do not leave the grounds without me or someone I trust at your side. Not until we know exactly what Silas is planning. Wren looks out the front windshield. The road curves, and then the estate appears a massive stone mansion set back behind tall iron gates, lights glowing warm in the pre-dawn gray. Wolves, carved in the pillars, seem to watch as the SUV approaches. Her heart thuds. This is not just a house. It is a statement. Power made solid. As the gates begin to open, Adrian's phone buzzes. He glances at the screen, and his face goes hard. What? Wren asks. He meets her eyes. Someone leaked the footage from last night, he says. The whole ballroom has seen you kiss me on every pack group chat before sunrise. The SUV rolls past the threshold of the Alpha King's domain. At the exact second, Wren realizes there is no going back. Not just from Silas, but from an entire world that now knows her name. And deep in the Blackwood estate, Silas watches that same grainy video on a loop, his hand closing around a glass so tight it cracks, promising himself that if he can't have Wren Ashford, he'll make sure no king ever feels safe with her at his side. Gunfire cracks in the distance, just as Wren reaches for the bedroom curtains. The sound is sharp, too clear to be a car backfiring. It rolls through the early morning quiet of the estate, and Wren freezes, fingers gripping the fabric. Her wolf flares awake under her skin, every sense stretching thin. The next second, the hallway alarm chirps once, low and controlled, not a full siren, more like a warning cough. The lights along the baseboards shift from soft white to a dim red. Wren's door flies open before she can move. Tiana stands there in an oversized hoodie, hair wrapped, eyes wide. Tell me that was fireworks, Tiana says. Lie to me. Adrian's voice cuts in from farther down the hall. Away from the windows, he strides toward them barefoot, in dark sweatpants and a shirt. No crown, no suit, just a man whose presence fills the whole corridor. Two guards move in his shadow, already talking into earpieces. What's happening? Wren asks, stepping back from the glass. Test shot at the outer fence, one guard says. South side. No breach yet. Cameras picked up 3 figures in masks. They're probing. Blackwood? Adrian asks. Too early to say, but it lines up. Adrian's attention returns to Wren and Tiana. Both of you in the safe room. Now, Wren bristles. I'm not hiding while people get shot at because of me. This isn't about pride, Adrian says. This is about me being able to move without worrying which window your face is behind. His words land heavy. Tiana nudges Wren's elbow. For once in your life, Just let the man with the private army do his job, she mutters. Wren presses her lips together. Fine. But you come back in one piece. Both of you do. Adrian's gaze lingers on her for a heartbeat, something soft flickering through the steel. Then he nods to a guard. Caleb, with them. Malik, with me. As Caleb leads the women down a side corridor Wren hasn't seen before, the floor plan shifts from polished luxury to quiet security. The walls are thicker here, the doors heavier, the lighting more controlled. Wren's heart races, not just from fear, but from the reality sinking in. This is what life with a king looks like. Caleb opens an unmarked door with a palm scan, revealing a compact room lined with screens, chairs bolted to the floor, and stocked shelves along one wall. It feels like the inside of a vault. In here, he says. It's reinforced. If anything happens, this room is last to go. Tiana looks around. You say that like it's supposed to be comforting. On the central screen, live feeds pop up from cameras around the property trees. Fences, gate, driveway. Wren watches 3 small dark shapes moving along the outer line of the woods, stopping and starting like they're counting steps. Zoom in, Wren says. Caleb hesitates, then taps a control. The screen tightens on one of the figures. Mask. Dark clothes. A patch on the shoulder that's blurry but familiar in shape. Wren's stomach turns. That's a Blackwood crest, she whispers. I've seen it on Silas's jacket. Caleb's jaw tightens. Then they're dumber than we thought. The camera feed jerks suddenly as one of the figures looks straight up, right into the lens, like he can see them watching. He raises a hand and taps 2 fingers against his temple in a mocking little salute. Then he points toward the house. Tiana swallows. He just waved at us. I hate that. Wren's chest tightens as the screen flickers, switching to another angle where Adrian and Malik are already moving across the lawn, dark shapes against the gray morning. The space between the king and the threat is nothing but open ground and a question. And all Wren can think is, how many shots stand between him and that camera cutting to black? The first gunshot aimed inward hits the shield like a hard slap. On the screen, a faint shimmer of energy flashes along the inner fence line where Adrian's people activated the wards. The bullet flattens and drops to the grass. Useless. But it's a message. Magic and metal, Caleb mutters. Classy. Outside, Adrian doesn't flinch. He keeps walking toward the fence with that long, steady stride. Wren has already learned means he is about to do something other men will talk about for years. Malik matches his pace, 1 step to the left, eyes scanning. Why is he going out there? Wren demands. He's the king. Can't he order them taken down from in here? He's not that kind of king, Caleb says. He doesn't send people where he won't go. That's noble and all, Tiana says, hugging her backpack. But also, the man is walking toward bullets. Does this safe room have a window? Because if the world ends while I'm staring at a screen, I'm haunting somebody. Another shot rings out. This one sparks against a stone pillar near Adrian's shoulder. Wren's whole body jolts. Malik shoves Adrian aside, and the 2 of them drop behind a low wall. Wren's nails dig into the armrest. She feels useless, trapped. Her wolf strains against her ribs, ready to run, ready to fight, furious at being caged while her mate is outside. The bond between them buzzes like a live wire. Can he feel me? She asks, voice thin. Out there? Caleb hesitates. If the bond is as strong as it looked last night? Yeah. He knows you're scared. He just can't do anything about it yet. On screen, Adrian lifts his head over the wall for a half-second, eyes going toward the house like he's looking right through the stone and steel. Wren's breath catches. For a moment, it feels like he actually sees her, like that thread between them is pulling his gaze to where she sits. Then he ducks back down as a bullet chips more stone where his head just was. Okay, I can't sit here, Wren says, standing so fast her chair scrapes. There has to be something I can do. You can stay alive, Caleb snaps. That's your job right now. Let me rephrase, Wren says, voice shaking but firm. There has to be something else I can do. Tiana stands too. What if they're not really trying to get in, she says. What if this is a distraction? Caleb's eyes narrow. Explain. Last night, Silas lost his prize in front of everyone, Tiana says. Today, his guys show up and shoot at the fence. Everybody's eyes go outside. So where aren't they looking? They all turn, almost together, To the inner camera feeds on the side screens, kitchens, garages, staff entrances, the long tree-lined drive. There, Wren says suddenly, pointing. Rewind 5 seconds. Caleb drags the timeline back. On the drive, a delivery van idles just inside the gate. Too early for regular service. No logo on the side. The driver leans out, talking to a guard, handing over a clipboard. Who ordered a delivery at 6 in the morning? Tiana asks. Caleb swears under his breath. That's not on the schedule. On screen, the guard turns away for a second to call in the check. The driver tilts his head like he's listening, then reaches down by the seat. He's going for something, Wren says. Stop him. Caleb doesn't waste time. His fingers fly over the controls as he calls through the comm. Gate team, this is command. Step back from the van. Now. Weapon on the driver's side. Repeat. Weapon on the driver's. Before he finishes, the driver lifts a gun and fires point blank at the guard who trusted him. The guard drops out of frame. Tiana screams. Wren feels like the air has been punched out of her. The screen splits as outside teams react, one angle on Adrian at the fence, another on the gate where everything is falling apart at once. Open the inner barricade, Wren says, brain racing. Trap the van between the first gate and whatever is next. Don't let them reach the house. Caleb hits a switch. Heavy metal barriers slam down in front of and behind the van with a deep grinding sound. The driver jerks, surprised, then slams the van into reverse. It rocks back hard against the new barrier, tires screaming. On the other side of the grounds, Adrian hears the noise. On screen, he turns, reading the sound and the timing like a language. He barks an order Wren can't hear, and Malik takes off at a sprint toward the drive, while Adrian keeps his focus on the masked men at the fence. He's splitting forces, Caleb says. Risky. He's buying time on both fronts, Wren whispers. If he can hold the fence and stop that van. The driver throws his door open. 2 more masked men spill out, guns up, aiming at the barricade controls. One shot takes out a camera. The feed dies with a pop of static. In the safe room, the screens flicker, rearranging, and Wren realizes that if one more camera goes out, she will be blind to whether Adrian is still walking on that grass or lying in it. Smoke curls up from the gate on the remaining feed, gray against the pale morning. Malik reaches the barricade first, sliding behind a stone column as bullets chew into the opposite side. He exchanges quick fire with the men by the van, keeping their focus on him. For a few seconds, it's a standoff, stone and steel on one side, rage and metal on the other. Then the masked man in the middle pulls something from his belt and hurls it at the ground. The small device hits the pavement and bursts in a bright flash. The camera view blows out white, then comes back with heavy static at the edges. Malik staggers, half blinded, falling back behind cover. Flash charge, Caleb says. Non-lethal, but it buys them seconds. Seconds they can't afford. On the other monitor, the 3 figures at the fence pull back into the tree line, melting into the branches like they were never there. It was always about the van. Adrian swears on screen, low and sharp. He pushes off the wall and starts running toward the drive. Every line of his body shouting one thing: get there before they break through. Wren's hands shake. She leans closer to the screens like she can push him faster with will alone. The bond between them tightens, carrying an echo of his focus, his anger, his calm under it all. She feels him choosing every step measured but fast, never careless. The men at the van recover from the flash first. One raises his gun and aims at the barricade controls mounted on the pillar. If he hits them, the barrier might fail. The house would be 1 line weaker. Come on, Wren breathes. As if he hears her, Malik rolls from behind cover and fires twice. One bullet knocks the gunman's arm offline. The other takes him in the leg. He goes down hard. But the second man has already moved. He rushes the control box, swinging the butt of his weapon like a hammer. Sparks burst as metal meets metal. The gate lights flicker. Systems taking damage, Caleb says, fingers flying over keys. I can reroute to backup, but if they hit the main junction, on screen, Adrian finally reaches them. He doesn't slow as he crosses the last few yards. He hits the second man from the side, shoulder to chest, driving him into the barricade with a force that rattles the camera. The gun skids across the ground. The last standing attacker swings around, aiming point blank at Adrian's back. Wren's heart stops. Then the man jerks forward as if yanked by an invisible hook. For one impossible second, his feet leave the ground. The gun drops from his hand. His body slams into the side of the van and crumples. Caleb stares. What the? A new figure steps into frame from behind the barricade. Tall, brown-skinned, in a plain dark coat. No mask, no crest. His eyes glow faintly with power that fades as quickly as it came. Tobias, Caleb breathes, relief flooding his voice. Thank God. Who is that? Wren asks, chest heaving. King's cousin, Caleb says. Family on his mother's side. He doesn't show up often. On the screen, Adrian gives Tobias a look that is equal parts warning and gratitude. Tobias shrugs like hauling a full-grown man through the air with his mind is no big deal. Malik gets to his feet, grimacing, and secures the wounded attacker. Sirens begin to wail in the distance, estate alarms calling in more support. Maybe outside authorities, if Adrian chooses to let them near his land. Wren sags into her chair, muscles shaking with the release of tension. Tiana scrubs her hands over her face. I did not wake up today expecting to see telekinesis before breakfast. Do you see now? Caleb asks Wren quietly. Silas isn't just angry. He's making strategic plays, testing our gates, testing our speed. Wren watches Adrian on the screen as he turns his head again, eyes going instinctively toward the house. Even at this distance, through a camera lens, she feels the tug of his attention. I see, she says. Which means we have to stop waiting for his next move. Tiana looks at her. You got a plan, Queen? The word makes Wren flinch, but only for a second. We can't win if we keep reacting, she says slowly. Silas knows our walls now. He knows how fast Adrian moves, how many guards patrol the grounds. But he doesn't know me. Not really. He still thinks I'm the girl who lets people choose for her. Caleb studies her. And what are you now? Wren lifts her chin. Someone who's done being a reason other people bleed. On screen, Adrian speaks into his comm. Jaw set, posture tight. Wren can almost feel the weight of decisions stacking on his shoulders. I need to talk to him, she says. No more safe room. No more sitting out. If Silas wants to use me as leverage, we turn that around. We use what he's expecting against him. Caleb opens his mouth to argue, then stops. Something in Wren's eyes makes him think better of it. I'll bring him down here, he says. But understand this. Once you start playing offense in this world, it doesn't stop. There's no halfway. I know, Wren answers. I crossed halfway the second I kissed him. A soft chime sounds. The safe room door unlocks with a heavy click from the outside. Adrian is coming, and Wren is done being just the girl who needs saving. Adrian steps into the safe room, still smelling like gunpowder and cold air. His shirt is streaked with dust, a thin cut marks his cheekbone, and his eyes are sharper than Wren has ever seen them. The room feels smaller when he enters. The screens and steel suddenly just background to the force of his presence. Report, he says to Caleb without looking away from Wren. 3 attackers, Caleb answers. 2 mobile, 1 down. 1 guard injured at the gate. Stable. No breach past the barricade. Tobias assisted. Adrian nods once, then finally lets his gaze travel over Wren, checking, confirming. Her pulse jumps. You okay? He asks. I should be asking you that, she says, eyes flicking to the cut. He lifts a shoulder. Stone fights back. Tiana snorts softly. That's cute. I hate it here. Adrian's mouth twitches, but his attention swings back to Wren as she steps closer. The bond between them hums high, carrying pieces of what he just went through. Adrenaline, clarity, fury held on a tight leash. I saw the van on the cameras, Wren says. We spotted it before it hit the inner gate. Caleb locked it in because I pushed. Adrian glances at Caleb. Caleb nods in confirmation. So you helped hold my front line from a steel box? Adrian says. Good. I'm done doing it from a box, Wren replies. We need to hit Silas where it hurts before he tries again. His eyes narrow slightly. Go on. He wants people to see you as vulnerable, Wren says. He wants them to think he can reach you through me. That you'll always be one step behind because you're busy guarding your weak spot. She lifts her chin. So we make me something else. Like what? Like bait, she says. Tiana chokes. Absolutely not, ma'am. Wren keeps her gaze on Adrian. He expects you to keep me behind walls. Every move he's made so far is based on the idea that I'm tucked away and you're running around putting out fires. So what happens if I step out on my own terms, at a time and place we control, with your people exactly where you want them? Adrian's jaw tightens. You're asking me to put you in his path. I'm already in his path, she says quietly. He sent men to my building before sunrise. He shot at your house. There is no path I can walk that doesn't run through him until we stop this. The difference is whether I'm standing still when he comes, or moving because I chose to. Silence stretches thin. The monitors buzz softly, still showing frozen frames of smoke and stone. Caleb clears his throat. A public event, he says slowly. Controlled venue. Heavy security. Enough witnesses that Silas can't make a straightforward grab without exposing himself. Tiana throws her hands up. Great. Love that the answer to man tries to shoot at us is, let's give him reserved seating at our next appearance. Not him, Wren says. His people, his messengers. He never gets his own hands dirty until he thinks he's already won. We set the trap for the Blackwood lieutenant who smiled at the camera, the one who waved. Adrian's eyes darken. Rico, you know him, Wren says. Everyone who matters knows him, Adrian replies. He's Silas's favored dog. Loyal. Smart enough to be dangerous, not smart enough to understand when he's in over his head. Then he's perfect, Wren says. He'll come if he thinks he can prove himself by getting to me first. Tiana stares at Wren like she's never seen her before. Who are you right now? Someone tired of waiting for the next shot, Wren answers. Adrian steps closer until they are only a foot apart. Up close, the tension in his shoulders is clear, the weight of every possible outcome sitting in his eyes. If we do this, he says, voice low, there is no promise you won't get hurt. I can put guards on every exit, cameras in every wall, and he might still get close enough to touch you, to scare you, to bleed you. I need you to understand that before I even think about saying yes. Wren swallows. Her throat feels tight, but her voice stays steady. I've already been hurt, she says, by a man everyone said I should just accept. At least this time if I bleed, it won't be because I stood still and let it happen. The bond between them flares, bright and fierce. Adrian's hand lifts, then stops in that same space. It always finds the space where choice lives. Say the word, he murmurs, and I'll lock this house down so hard Silas will never see your face again. Wren meets his gaze, heart pounding. Say the word, she counters, and we make sure he never gets to try. For a long moment, everything hangs there. Then Adrian nods once, sharp. Caleb, he says, eyes never leaving Wren. We're attending the Unity Gala tomorrow night. Caleb blinks. The one downtown? The one every Alpha and Council member streams live? That one, Adrian says. Wren will be at my side the entire time. Rico won't be able to resist. We let him think he's operating in shadow, while every camera in that building records his face in high definition. And when he moves? Caleb asks. Adrian's smile is cold and clean. We make sure the whole world watches what happens to the man who thought my mate was my weakness. Tiana exhales slowly. Well, if we're using my best friend as a glowing sign for wolves with guns, we better make sure her dress is fire. Wren almost laughs. Almost. So, she says, pulse hammering. Tell me, if this were you watching, would you tune in to see how this plays out? Cameras flash as soon as Wren steps out of the car. The Unity Gala entrance is a long carpet of light and attention. Reporters line the sides behind velvet ropes, holding out microphones and phones, voices overlapping in a rush that sounds like a wave hitting concrete. The second they see Adrian, the volume spikes. Your Majesty, is it true you found a new mate? Who is she? Is this a political alliance? Adrian steps out first, hand extended back toward the open door. He doesn't look at the crowd. He only looks at Wren. The noise dulls in her ears. For a heartbeat, all she sees is his steady gaze and the open palm waiting for her choice. She places her hand in his and steps out into the lights. The reaction is instant. Shouts, gasps, camera shutters clicking like rattling bones. Wren keeps her chin level, her steps even. The dress Tiana picked hugs her frame in soft black that gleams under the flashes. Simple but strong, the kind of thing nobody can pretend not to see. Inside, every lens is rolling. Outside, 1,000 more watch through screens. Tiana follows a step behind, in a bold red that makes her impossible to ignore, playing her part as friend, watcher, wildcard. Caleb and 2 more guards close in at the edges, blending into the formal crowd but never more than a breath away. Wren leans closer to Adrian without breaking stride. Do you see him? she asks under her breath. Not yet, Adrian says. But he's here. She knows he's right. The hair on her arms rises. Her wolf paces, tasting the air. There's a thread of wrongness winding through the room. Not in the shadows, but in plain sight. Someone who smiles too wide, stands too still, watches too hard. They move through the lobby into the main hall, where a huge screen shows a live feed of arrivals. Wren catches a glimpse of herself on it, her hand in Adrian's. Eyes fierce. For a second, she doesn't recognize the woman on the screen. Then she realizes that's the point. This is the Wren Silas needs to see. They take their seats near the front. The stage is set for speeches about peace and unity and shared future. Banners hang with pack seals and council emblems. On the balcony above, private boxes hold the richest owners, the oldest families, the ones who like to see history from a safe distance. Wren's gaze slips up there and stops. Third box from the left. A figure in a dark suit, leaning on the rail, watching the floor with casual interest. When he turns his head, the light hits a small crest on his lapel Blackwood. And when he smiles down at her, it's the same crooked curve she saw through the camera as he tapped his temple. Rico. Found you, she thinks. As if he hears the thought, he lifts a glass in a lazy toast, then melts back into the shadow of the box, out of direct sight. They're in the balcony, Wren whispers. Already clocked him, Adrian says. Box 3. 2 men with him, maybe more behind. Then let's give him what he came for. Wren replies. The lights dim as the first speaker steps up. A spotlight cuts across the room. On the big screen behind the stage, the camera feed shifts to show Adrian and Wren where they sit. The whole hall sees them together. Framed like a declaration, Wren feels the moment click into place. Every pack watching this stream now knows the story. Rumors have been chewing on all night. The Alpha King, his second chance mate from a fallen house. The jilted ex with guns and pride. A perfect storm for gossip. Smile, Tiana murmurs from Wren's other side. If we're bait, we might as well look good. Wren lets the corner of her mouth lift. Not wide, just enough to say, I am not afraid of you. Somewhere above, a door opens softly. On one of the side screens in the tech booth, hidden from most eyes but not from Caleb's, Rico leaves his box and starts down a narrow stairwell, 2 men at his back. South stair. Caleb's voice cracks in Adrian's earpiece. Moving toward the service corridor, they're trying to get behind the stage. Adrian's fingers curl around Wren's where their hands rest on his knee. To any camera, it looks like a tender move. To Wren, it feels like a promise and a warning. Once they're in place, Adrian murmurs, I'll have security close both ends. They'll think they trapped you. Really, they'll be trapped with me. With us? Wren corrects. He glances at her, and in his eyes, she sees it, the shift from protector and king to partner. With us, he agrees. Across the hall, a side door near the stage stands unguarded on purpose, just for tonight. On screen in the booth, Rico's trio slips through the backstage corridor, headed straight for it. The stage lights flare for the next transition. The host's voice rings out. And now, a few words from the one who keeps our territories in balance. Adrian rises, pulling Wren up with him. Gasps ripple again. He is not supposed to speak tonight. This was not on the program. That is exactly why it will work. As they mount the steps together, Wren's heart slams. If this goes wrong, it will go wrong in front of everyone. If it goes right, it will write a new rule in blood and light. They reach the podium. Adrian's hand stays at the small of her back, solid. He looks out over the sea of faces, then straight into the nearest camera. Some of you came here tonight for peace, he says, voice carrying through the hall and every living room tuned in. Some came for gossip. Some came to see if the stories about me are true. Wren feels, more than sees, the side door behind the curtain easing open. And some of you, Adrian continues, gaze hardening, came because you thought fear would keep me hiding what matters to me. You thought you could reach my heart by shooting at my walls. The side door opens fully. Rico steps through with his gun low and ready, believing he is hidden by the curtain's cover. Security now, Caleb's voice snaps. Spotlights swing as if on cue. The house lights blast up to full. Stage cameras whip around. Suddenly, every lens in the building is aimed not at the podium, but at the side aisle, where Rico stands frozen, exposed in mid-step, weapon in hand, face bare. For a heartbeat, the whole world seems to stop. Adrian turns, slowly, toward him. That, he says into the silence, voice carrying over every feed, is what it looks like when a man mistakes my mate for a weak point. Guards surge in from both sides, weapons up, moving with practiced speed. Rico's men lift their guns, but find red dots on their foreheads before they can aim. Rico's eyes dart from Wren to Adrian, to the sea of cameras, to the exit he thought he'd use. There is nowhere left to go. Wren steps closer to Adrian, keeping her spine straight, her gaze on Rico. She doesn't flinch, doesn't look away. In that moment, every young girl watching who has ever been told to keep her head down sees something else. A woman standing on a stage beside the most powerful man in their world, facing down the one who tried to break her life for sport. The guards move. Restraints snap. The danger is pulled tight, contained, but not erased. There will be trials, fallout, new threats. This is one battle, not the last. But tonight, in front of all those eyes, a new story takes root. The king does not bend to fear, and neither does the woman at his side. As the crowd erupts, some in shock, some in cheers, some in angry shouts, Adrian leans in, voice low for Wren alone. "You wanted to be steel," he says. Everyone just saw it. Her chest aches, but this time with something like fierce joy. "Good," she answers, "because I'm not going anywhere." And as the scene freezes in your mind, the stage, the cameras, the caught attacker, the king, and his mate standing shoulder to shoulder, ask yourself this. If one desperate kiss can change a life, what would you risk to protect the love and power that grows from it? If this story pulled you in, and you want to see more powerful tales like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that inspires you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share how this made you feel. And who knows, your words might be the spark that helps someone else stand up and write their own ending.